Hello and welcome to this episode of Strange News. We have a lot of strange news today. Also, talking about the hearing as well, the UAP Witness Hearing, because there was a lot that happened. There's a lot to cover, and do not worry, Jimmy and I will be doing an even deeper dive next Thursday for Mysteries of the History. But before we get started, I would like to mention that on Wednesday, was the review of A Secret of Skinwalker Ranch Season 4, Episode 13. Only one more episode left for this season of Season 4. Then we also covered the UAP Witness Hearing. We watched it live and we gave some post commentary. And then I had Chris Bartell, the security guard and investigator at Skinwalker Ranch during the Robert Bigelow era. You can find all of those right here on this channel. But today is strange news. You know what that means. Covering everything weird and mysterious, plus the hearing, of course, and it's our giveaway. So the word of the day is impressive. Why? Because I was truly impressed with the hearing. Comparing it to the other two that we've received, have it be the Arrow funding hearing and the one that we got last year in 2022, those were kind of a joke compared to this one. So the word of the day is impressive. People already dropping in money for the gift card. Thank you so much for Chris dropping in 20, John Asai dropping in 5. Thank you for that. And James as well dropping in 10. So we're already looking at $45. If you want to make someone's day, put in a super chat that says for the gift card, and we will do the drawing at the very end of the show because one person is going to walk away very happy. So let's get into this. All right. I'm going to take this down. Everyone put that in exactly as you see it here. Okay. Because while we do that, I already have 12 entries. That is fantastic. I'm going to share my screen here as a visual aid as we talk about this hearing. Now, let me tell you this. I'm a bit disappointed that overall the mainstream media isn't covering this. Is it shocking? No. Is it disappointing? Yes, absolutely. The only media outlet that is taking this seriously is News Nation. Now, I am not someone that's in politics. I do not know what they cover aside from UFOs, but they are the only news outlet that has been covering it before the hearing started, during the hearing, and afterward. Yes, there have been a few segments across media platforms kind of talking about it, but the ones that I've seen, they are decently uneducated. They are sprinkling in conspiracy theory about this. I know James Fox did share that on Twitter, and I did see that what CNN had covered, saying, well, if you're a conspiracy theorist, this was great. It was like Christmas, your birthday, and New Year's all together. And I did not enjoy that. I found that really, really stupid because this is a really big deal. So let's go ahead and get into that. Also, this image right here, love it. Why? Because they are all swearing under oath. Okay? Right here, swearing under oath what they're going to say is true. Now, that is incredibly impressive. And Justin, thank you. Thank you for that. Now we're looking at 65. Okay? So, that is amazing. Now, again, it's just News Nation that is covering this. Other reports, like I had said, for CNN, they are not covering that. James Fox posted it on Twitter. He's like, what are you guys doing? This is the most important news item that we have right now, and some people are not taking it seriously. So I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm really glad that he did share that. And Twitter right now is just blowing up with everything to do with the UFO hearing, and I'm loving it. But let's get into this. For those that didn't watch it or didn't watch it in full, I'm going to give you a slight background on some very important points that were made, and then also sharing my thoughts on it as well. So Ryan Graves, a former F-18 fighter pilot, recounted an incident that occurred in 2014 while he was stationed in Virginia Beach. Now, according to him, after upgrading the radar systems of aircraft, the military began to detect unknown objects flying in the airspace of their base. At first, they said it has to be radar error. That's what it has to be. But then the onboard sensors of the fighters began to notice these objects with their own eyes. One day, Graves was on a training mission 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, and during this mission, two F-18 Super Hornets collided with a UFO almost nose to nose. Now, did they actually collide? No, but it was very close, and that's why there is this aspect of that threat narrative that pilots are at risk when they are flying so close to these UFOs. Now, during World War II, they were classified as Foo Fighters, and even during that time frame, these objects were getting so close to the pilots, it was scaring them, and I do not blame them. And I made this analogy last week. When you're driving on the road and someone just slightly curves into your lane, right? The adrenaline blows up. You are sweating like you just ran a marathon. And to our perspective, it looks very close, but to someone else, you're a good few feet away from that other car, right? But to us, that car is like a part of our own body when you've been driving for so long. And you feel like you're going to crash, have to call 911, have to call your insurance, and then get into that whole fiasco. That is not fun. Now, for these pilots, it's even scarier because this is all happening in the sky. Yes, very scary. So, with this, Ryan Graves had mentioned the object described as a dark gray or black cube inside a transparent sphere flew within 50 feet or about 15 meters of the lead aircraft and is estimated to have been between 5 and 15 feet in diameter. Now, when we people in the community, we've heard this story before. It's nothing new. But for the congressman, it blew their minds. When Raskin was asking this question, Representative Raskin, which he was wearing a bandana, by the way, because he did just finish his chemotherapy right before the hearing. For those that didn't know, yeah, the bandana did look a little bit like an eyesore, but once you know that, it makes a little bit more sense, right? When Ryan Graves said, yes, a cube within a sphere, Representative Raskin said, whoa, 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 a cube within a sphere? You could tell he had never heard that story. And that is, we always hear the UFO shaped flying saucers, right? Those are the most prevalent. Sometimes we hear about triangles, but the one that Graves had stated, the one that many of his people had seen, we don't hear stories like that very frequently. So this caught a lot of people that are not in the know. It caught them off guard. So after that, the pilots were promptly recalled to the base and a report was written, and the pilots were not injured, which is amazing. But this incident was not officially confirmed. As soon as these encounters became so frequent that the crew of the aircraft regularly discussed UAP as part of their pre-flight briefings. Now, there was also the really interesting story that I had mentioned I was not familiar with during one of my YouTube shorts right after the hearing ended. There was one case that Ryan mentioned that in 2003, there was a sighting of a square red UFO the size of a football field. That is huge. And that was a total information bomb right there. One that caught me off guard, probably caught many of you off guard as well. The congressman as well, thinking, what? What is going on here? And the great thing about this hearing, because there's a lot of mixed feelings about this, and I get it. We can't please everyone. It was only a small step forward. It wasn't, in some respects, mind-blowing disclosure, okay, which many people expected, and you're not going to get. You're not going to get it, at least not anytime soon. But I will say this, I have to give props to all of the congressmen that were present, that prepared questions. They were decently knowledgeable in the questions that they were asking, have it be that they created it themselves or it was given to them. These were heavy hitter questions across the board. I was truly, truly impressed with Representative Mace, even AOC as well. She did ask the $1 million question. If you were me, where should I look? That was great. And it was a bipartisan issue. No matter what party you were in or you are in, right? They all came together and they said that we can all agree that this is a national security issue. And that was really the title of this hearing: National Security and Safety for Air Flight Control. All right. So that was the big takeaway, aside from it being under oath. These witnesses had to speak under oath, and it's all under the congressional record as well, which is huge. Now we have 252 people watching this live, only 109 likes. If you are enjoying what you're hearing so far, hit the like button. It lets YouTube know that you want to see more of this kind of content and UFO transparency as well. So as we continue onward, David Fravor, which bless his heart, all the congressmen were getting his last name wrong, calling him Favor, Frayer, Fayer. And I'm like, guys, I know might be a little bit nervous, but consistently his name was being said wrong, bless his heart. But he personally, he's a first-hand witness that encountered the Tic Tac in 2004. Many of you are very, very familiar with the story. I'm not going to go into detail. There were a few congressmen that asked for specific details, which is great for those, again, that are not familiar with his story and his encounter. But Mace did ask a great question, and I actually, well, no, it's gonna be posted soon. But she did ask, why do you think for a little over a decade the story wasn't covered? Why do you think it wasn't talked about after the encounter? And Fravor had mentioned, and I'm paraphrasing here, he had mentioned it was just kind of put away, put in a vault, and then left to rot. And Mace laughed at this. She's like, that happens often. What a shocker. Which is really disappointing that our congressmen are not made aware of these instances, just like this one that took place in 2004. But then moving on to David Grush, I will say, in my opinion, he was the star of this hearing. A lot of people wanted to ask him questions specifically, mainly because of his background, because he was a former U.S. intelligence official, compared to Graves and Fravor, who have a background in the military, but they are naval pilots. In this case, for David Grush, he's a person that would be classified as in the know. And there was a lot of information that he provided that I was like, okay. And his answers were shocking as well. Now, of course, the ones where he said, I cannot talk about this in an open setting. Yes, it was disappointing, but at the same time, he is putting his life on the line. And Representative Anna Paulina Luna made that very, very clear. She asked the question, and I'm paraphrasing here, are you in fear for your life? And Grush said, yes. And that was a really just a nail in the coffin here, where even though he is scared, even though there has been threats to him and his family, which it seems like he had mentioned, he is still coming forward because he believes that it is his duty to talk about these things and make this conversation as transparent as possible. And that is another really big takeaway from this 2.5-hour hearing. But he was the former U.S. intelligence official, and he said that he held Defense Department efforts to analyze reported UAP sightings and was informed of a multi-decade Pentagon program, okay, that collected crash retrievals, like crashed UFOs, and then doing reverse engineering. Also in this, 3 times by 3 different congressional members, they asked, is there a disinformation campaign? Which I mentioned this in the post commentary right when the hearing ended. I'm going to say it again today. I found that question really odd, and for it to be asked 3 times by 3 different congressmen. Why? Well, obviously they want the answer. We want the answer, but us in the community, we can kind of guess the answer. And a great example of this was Roswell, where you have that newspaper that says it was a UFO. They redacted it. A day later, they said, oh, no, it's just a weather balloon, right? That was kind of potentially maybe the start of it all. But these congressmen, again, were decently knowledgeable in the topic to ask interesting questions and to bring that up to Grush's attention and the world's attention. And all Grush could say was, I can't answer that in a public setting, which you can make up your own mind on what he meant by that. But I'm assuming here that many of you might have said, that's a big fat yes. It's a big fat yes. And P.S. Fader, Thank you so much for that and supporting the channel. And Dodie Pate, welcome to the YouTube community, and thank you for becoming a member as well. I do appreciate that. Now, in this, one representative that asked some really great questions was Jared Maskowicz. And he talked about physics and stuff like this. But when he asked how such a program is funded, talking about this like multi-decade Pentagon program that is retrieving UFOs, Grush claimed that the effort is above congressional oversight and bankrolled by a misappropriation of funds. So then Maskovich asked, does that mean that there is money in the budget that is set to go to a program, but it doesn't and goes to something else? And Grush says, yes, I have specific knowledge of that. He could have said, I can't answer that. But in a lot of cases, not all of them, but in a lot of them, he says, yes, I know this personally. Yes, I have specific knowledge. I cannot share that information with you right now, but I have the names of the people involved and the corporations. Oh my goodness, that was huge. He didn't have to say that. He could have said, I can't answer that. But instead, he says, I have personal knowledge of people involved in specific questions that were asked by these congressmen. And then Mace asked the $1 million question. She says, can we have that? And Grush says, I can give you that list after the hearing. Oh my goodness, that was so good. Now, yes, it sucks that you and we're not going to see that list at least anytime soon. But for him to say that publicly is it was mind-blowing to me. Now others are gonna think, oh, this whole thing was a nothing burger, it sucked, I know everything, I'm super smart, blah blah blah. I've read all the comments already, and let me tell you this, if you were on that panel, you would probably sweat like it's nobody's business, hiccup time and time again, and fail. These three witnesses on the panel held themselves very well, answering what I would truly say are difficult questions compared to the previous two hearings that we got, which were a circus compared to this one. This one was impressive, and that's why the word of the day is hashtag impressive, because it was. But in this, all of these men are still answering questions to the best of their ability. David Fravor here, I thought, was super adorable in how he answered questions with a little bit of a smile, and he seemed very honest and very humble. You had Graves, who did seem a little bit nervous. He didn't snap out of character in the sense of he was kept a very, very straight face. And then you had Grush, who smiled from time to time. But most of these men smiled the most when Tim Burchett was kind of dropping a few jokes, kind of lightening the mood. And I really appreciate that, because while this was a very serious and tense topic, Burchett was just kind of trying to lighten the mood, because when people feel comfortable, they're willing to share more information. That's common knowledge, right? This is why you want to talk to someone over a cup of coffee versus in the sense of like maybe over the phone or where it's an interrogation, right? You want them to feel very calm, very relaxed to the best of your ability in order for them to share more information, right? And so I did like that from Burchett, and also him, I wouldn't say the word appointing, but mentioning to the world that it was his wedding anniversary. I found that really adorable as well. But here, with these claims that were made by Grush, a Pentagon spokesman told NBC News that Grush's claims were false. Now, if that were to be the case, he would have gone to prison, because he did swear under oath that all the information that he was willing to share was true. Okay, so that was a big deal. Now, people and Grush had mentioned this, that there have been people that have been threatened by the government to not share information. And keep that in mind. It's going to be valuable a little bit later as the show progresses, okay? Because I have a story for you on that. But Burchett asked a wild question, and I was so shocked to hear this, truly, because it is a taboo question. And he says, do you know of anyone who has been murdered trying to conceal this information or share this information? Well, many of you might say, well, yes, duh, obviously. The point is that is now officially under congressional records. You can look back and you can find that information, right? Like, at least the question and the answer to that question. I found that shocking. That question exceeded my expectations, because that is a hardball question. If he says yes, it looks really bad for the government. If he says no, we know that he's lying, right? There is no right answer except the truth, right? The truth is always the best answer. But you get what I mean. And so I found that kind of shocking there. But in addition to the information about the UFO re-engineering program and the finding of alien bodies and crashed ships, Grush said that many people, including him, were tried hard to pressure them, um, get, I would say, like, causing them fear to come forward. And he says here, some of my colleagues have been subjected to brutal attacks. In fact, as a leader, it really upsets me that over the past 3 years, this has happened to my other colleagues and, in fact, to the authorities. So he is saying that there have been people that he knows of or that are under him that have been threatened to stay quiet. Which, yes, it's not shocking to you and I, but that information is now public, officially public. And I'm going to share another image here as we continue on with this. Okay, let's pull this one up. This is also another really great image from the hearing. Okay. Now, Grush bluntly called this behavior as administrative terrorism. And I found that also a really interesting choice of words. Now, he did say that I do have information about active plans against me and my colleagues. I've suffered retaliation from my discussion, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency. So let's just kind of do a rundown, a very quick rundown of other things that were mentioned in this hearing, okay? Because you had, again, AOC asking, where should I look? Then you have Mace asking for the list of people and corporations. You had Ogles keeping it to the questions of national security, saying, I only want yes or no questions. Then you have Burleson asking about the bodies. Then you had several congressmen ask if there is a disinformation campaign. Okay, then the Hallman rule was mentioned, but this should have probably pleased a lot of people. And for those that don't know, the Hallman rule is a rule in the United States House of Representatives that allows amendments to appropriations legislation that would reduce the salary of or fire specific federal employees or cut a specific program. Okay. Then we heard about the denial of a SCIF, which is a sensitive, compartmented information facility where people can speak freely and it's not tapped, right? You can't bring cell phones in, you can't bring wires in, all that kind of stuff. So that's just a handful of things that were mentioned in this hearing. There is a lot more, but those were kind of some big takeaways from the 2.5 hour conversation. Now, I did say keep a certain piece of information in mind because we are going to revise that. So I'm going to share my screen here as a visual aid as we get into this next article, which is very appropriate, very good timing after the hearing. So let's pull this up. This article was just recently written, but this man right here, DC Long, is a former U.S. military veteran who mentioned on a podcast, which is a YouTube channel that is focused, that's like very military focused, called The Sean Ryan Show with almost 2 million subscribers. He shares his story of being harassed by the military because he had seen things that he shouldn't have regarding UFOs. Now, you can take it or leave it. This story, it's up to you if you want to believe it or not, but it is something that I found intriguing that it came out really just right before the hearing. This interview took place about 8 days ago. So, just right in the same ballpark. So let's get into his story. So he claimed that the men in black made an attempt on his life to prevent him from talking about US government ties to extraterrestrial forces. So according to Long, this man right here, when he served in the army, he once got into a secret hangar and saw a strange anti-gravity experiment there. It looked like a monolithic stone slab 6 meters long, which beautifully hovered in the air on its own. Now, according to him, in order to keep him silent about what he saw, he was, I mean, his life was on the line. And we're going to get into that story shortly. But during his service, Long traveled to North Carolina to help his father, who was a military contractor and was hired by the authorities to build a building where soldiers were trained in the use of weapons. Now, when he arrived there, he was led by local soldiers to the development site, passing through the secret hangar Range 19. And there, Long became an accidental eyewitness to a strange anti gravity experiment with heavy stone slabs. He says, I saw the giant monolithic slab just standing there. At first, it didn't cause any alarm. I didn't attach much importance to it. But the closer I got to it, the better I could feel its intense vibration. I saw that this monolithic huge slab hung silently in the air with no visible means of support. And he also mentioned that he just felt this very powerful energy emanating from it. He says it was like being in a concert, standing next to one of the speakers, penetrating your body, but without the noise. So the soldiers led Long through the hangar very quickly, and soon he was on the construction site where he met his father. And he was taken back about half an hour later by the same route, and then they walked through the hangar again. Long now saw 3 slabs there already next to the first one, and they were all about the same size. So the very next day, after Long observed the floating stone, his father's office were looted and his company went out of business. So Long and his father were very close and the relationship became very strained after that. When this man asked his father, "Do you think this has anything to do with Range 19 hangar?" His father said, "Never mention that name to me again." And that was the last time he was face to face with his father. Now, soon after that, his dad passed away of a sudden onset of aggressive cancer, and then Long had his own very chilling, close encounter with death. So during a practice parachute jump, he suddenly noticed that one of the people he had seen in Range 19 was among the other skydivers in the same plane with him. And when Long was already preparing to jump, the man came close to him and he says, quote, "He winked at me, and as soon as the signal to jump was given, I felt his arm go down. I felt something hit me in the face, and it was like a static shock. This person then jumped from the plane, twisted my neck along the way. After that, he laid in a coma for a month, and when he woke up, he was recognized as disabled and disarmed from the army." And for a long time, he remained silent about his experience, but then changed his mind and says, "I can deal with the loss of my military career. I'm fine with that. I don't think I'd be doing this forever, but I won't have people in this country just give away their freedom and thinking the government is doing them a favor." Now, why am I bringing this up? Why is the story relevant? Because David Grush mentioned some similar things during his hearing that took place July 26th, where people that know information, have seen things, are being threatened. There are those that have had attempts on their life as well. And this is an example of that. Now, is DC Long story true? It is up for you to decide. There was no evidence provided during this podcast. You're just taking his word for it. But all I'm saying is that the timing is very interesting. That's all I want to say to that. But what do you think about this particular story? What do you think about what's been happening in the UFO community these last few days? Share your thoughts with me. I want to hear it. By the way, if you want to comment, I do read all of the comments. Your insights I find very valuable. Have it be you agree with me, you disagree with me, or you want to share something that I wasn't aware of. I do read them. And not only do I find them valuable, but I know that other people that read the comments do as well. So please share your thoughts on all the things that we will be covering today. James says, it's impressive. I agree there. I do. Well, still kind of on the UFO topic, I have a video for you. So let's pull this one up because it's weird. There isn't currently an explanation for it, and there's no audio, by the way. So I'm going to share my screen here for those to watch this while I read it to you. So recently, in the city of Bengaluru in India, experienced a perplexing phenomenon in the sky that left its residents in awe. A Twitter user going by the handle of WazBLR posted a short video on Twitter capturing a mysterious shadow visible in the sky. It's only 14 seconds long. I went ahead and I looped it, so it's about a minute and 14 seconds that you're seeing right here. So this video was shared on July 23rd, prompting the user to ask fellow citizens about their thoughts on what this site could possibly be, and speculating whether it might be a building. He was also curious about the scientific explanation behind such an occurrence. In the caption, he wrote, "A mysterious shadow object was seen in the sky last night near Hebel flyover. Did anyone else see this? What could this possibly be? A shadow of a building? If it is, then what could possibly be the science behind it?" Now, this video did quickly gain viral traction on the internet, and I'll play that again for you. And it sparked a lot of discussion amongst the people in the area as they speculated about the nature of this mysterious object in the sky. I currently do not have an explanation for it. If it was natural, it wouldn't have lines that straight. Could it be a building and it's like just a really foggy day and the sun is just right behind the building? That's a possibility. I can believe that. That one is a decent explanation. But I am not sure. We weren't given a lot of information about this aside from what I had just read to you, but it's weird. But Larry says, please open the door. Look, if it's a portal, I'm jumping through it so fast. Okay? I'm ready. Come on. I have my backpack with ramen. I'm ready to go. But A Busy says it's a natural phenomenon. It's a mirage. It could be. And I'm not disagreeing with that. But let's say it was, what is creating that? Is it just a regular building? Because it could be. I can see it. Sure. But it's kind of weird. David says, we live in interesting times. We sure do. It's getting really weird. And Mike, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Welcome to the community. Well, this article was short, but it was strange. And of course, I had to share it with you. But now we're getting into just like the weird here. Let's pull this up. Because we're talking about prehistoric worms. Okay. This was recently published in the journal PLOS Genetics. And tiny worms, a species that became extinct many thousands of years ago, have been discovered in a layer of permafrost near the Kolyma River in northeastern Russia. Now, in 2018, several resurrected nematodes were dated to around 32,000 years old. But now, more precise radiocarbon dating suggests these soil worms have remained, quote, dead alive in parts of Siberia since at least 46,000 years ago. However, this is just recently published by a group of scientists, again in the journal PLOS Genetics, and it included many different professors from different universities in Russia, and they managed to thaw the worms, and astonishingly, they came back to life like zombies. Now, in reality, these worms were not dead. They were in a state of cryptobiosis where all biological processes in their bodies were suspended. Now, the dating of the layer in which these worms were found indicated that it was approximately 46,000 years old, making it a record for the survival of a complex living creature and worthy of consideration for the Guinness Book of World Records. Now, that was my book to go to when I was like 7 in the library, right? You see the weirdest things in those books. And you know what? This should definitely be in there for 2024. Now, among more primitive organisms, bacterial spores found in the intestines of a petrified amber covered bee hold the record for hibernation, spending about 40 million years in a dormant state. Wow, that's pretty big. Now, the researchers found that these worms use the same mechanisms to enter suspended animation as modern roundworms commonly found in compost heaps and rotting fruits worldwide. Laboratory experiments revealing that dehydrating the worms slightly before subjecting them to negative 80 degrees Celsius temperatures with major bodily functions shut down was crucial for successful survival. Now, why is this even important? Well, first, I mean zombies, right? Already interesting. But aside from that, if these researchers, professors, scientists are able to understand this, they can help humans go under suspended animation, have it be for them to live, in a few 100,000 years, or have them to use that during space travel, right? Which has been thought for a long period of time. There are multiple universities, there are multiple researchers that are trying to find the best way for humans to be under suspended animation. We've covered it here on Strange News before on these different types of developments and how they are doing so. But in this case, for these worms, they're 46,000 years old and they're just back to life, doing their thing, having a good time. It's either super cool or super scary, or maybe a little bit of both, but I found it really weird. And hey, we have to cover it. But these articles that I am talking to you about today, they do go into more depth. I will share those links in the description box below once this live show is over, as well as a chapter timeline index as well. But how many of you are Star Wars fans? Because if you are, I have a really cool article for you. It's pretty cool. All right, let's share this. I said this before and I'll say it again. I'm more of a Trekkie myself here, but Star Wars, it's pretty good. Now, astronomers have spotted a once in a lifetime comet shaped like the Millennium Falcon, and skygazers may soon be able to see it for themselves without a telescope. The comet, known as Comet 12P Pons Brooks, abruptly brightened 100-fold on July 20th as plumes of debris and ice were blasted off into space. Now, this gave it a horseshoe shape as we see it here, which scientists likened to the Millennium Falcon spaceship from Star Wars. The comet will make its closer approach to the sun next year, passing about 144 million miles from our planet on June 2nd, 2024. But what makes the event even more exciting is that its approach will come just weeks after North America's total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024. Which is very cool. Now, Richard Miles of the British Astronomical Association mentioned it's once in a blue moon that you can see a comet next to an eclipsed sun. While it may be possible to see the comet with the naked eye, he does advise using binoculars, and he says it should be visible. It's guaranteed to get a lot brighter, just in the normal way all comets get a lot brighter as time passes. But the cool thing, it's going to be right next to an eclipse. Who doesn't love that? Okay, this is very, very cool. Now, astronomers aren't sure exactly why Comet 12P, which orbits the sun every 71 years, has brightened so drastically in recent weeks, again, 100-fold. But Miles says that there may be an active ice volcano on the surface that is causing it to light up the sky. Isn't that so cool? Isn't astronomy so cool? I've said this before as well. I love astronomy. I would have loved to have gotten a degree in astronomy in university, but I am so bad at math. Like, it's dumb how bad I am that there is no way I'd be even able to pass, even if I wanted to. Okay. But if there was no math, man, I'd be all for it. That's not how it works. Which is a little bit disappointing. But aside from that, we can fangirl about it right here and put the math kind of on the side. But in this, it's something of a revolutionary idea that you have liquid inside a comet, and scientists have for decades never really come to terms with it. This is what Miles had said to the Insider. Now, when you see this comet and do what it's doing, you can really explain it without saying, as well as solids and gases, there are liquids inside the comet making it behave in this very unusual way, he added. Now, this discovery helps back up a theory that comets not only brought water to Earth, but also help spread the germs of life on our planet as well. Which is the really cool takeaway from this article. Yes, it looks like something from Star Wars, but the bigger, more interesting thing, at least for a lot of these astronomers, is that if we subscribe to this water theory when it comes to comets, maybe that's how we were able to get water here on Earth and the spread of germs of life on our planet as well. Again, these are mere theories. We are not fully sure, but everything starts with a question and then research follows that, right? Basic science there. So that is very cool. But still in the conversation of space, this one is interesting. Let's share this screen here as a visual aid. Let's pull that up. Here it is. Awesome. Okay. Because preparing for a future in which astronauts begin adventuring deep into our solar system, scientists are developing 3D printed hearts that they plan on launching to the International Space Station in 2027, keeping in mind that the ISS will retire in 2031. The idea is simply to see how these artificial organs fare when exposed to harsh space radiation, because if humans want to trek into the depths of outer space someday, we need to know whether our hearts can truly take us there. So behind this exciting plan are researchers with a program called PULSE, which is a very appropriate name. Funded by the European Innovation Council, Pulse's website emphasizes the importance of generating complex, precise, and easily malleable bioprinted materials to make long-term space exploration a safer and more viable option. However, the team also explains that this endeavor can help with Earth-based medicine breakthroughs as well, most notably with regard to cancer therapies that also expose the human body to intense radiation. Very cool. Okay. Now, the ambitious goal of the Pulse project are as much related to space research as they are to healthcare here on Earth. Now, while Pulse's project is certainly innovative in the fully 3D printed hearts haven't been sent to the ISS before, scientists have dabbled with exposing heart cells to spaceborne conditions in the past. For example, various institutions such as the Brown University and Johns Hopkins University worked with NASA to send some cardiac tissue specimen to the ISS over the past few years, most recently as part of SpaceX's CRS 27 robotic resupply mission. Now, the purpose was to see how each cell subject, lovingly called tissue on a chip, contracts in microgravity conditions and learn whether natural cardiac muscle damage can be reversed as space's environment sort of mimics the effort of aging on the human body, but in fast forward. Now, that's really cool. There have been a lot of interesting tests that have taken place on the ISS. People that have been there for extended periods of time, right? They deal with pretty odd body function issues. We know that there is a deterioration with their muscles and their bones. Along that they stay there. They also have eyesight issues as well. And it takes them time to adapt to the gravity once again here on Earth when they return from the ISS. But space does take a huge toll on the body. So this is why this is particularly interesting. But according to an overview of the program, the researchers intend to build these hearts with what they call pulse technology in reference to a system that harnesses what's known as magnetic levitation and acoustic levitation as well. Because our future is in space. Yes, Earth is beautiful. Yes, it's a place that we will always call home, but we are a spacefaring species. It's already happening. It's already a huge space race going on. We are aware that Jeff Bezos wants to commercialize space, creating it into like space tourism, along with SpaceX as well. And as things progress here on Earth, positive or negative, at some point we are going to have colonies in space, on Mars, maybe even on asteroids, right? That would be kind of cool. And it's something that we are really, really pushing for, which is appropriate. And I would have, okay, if I was born in the 1950s, okay, and if I were to just project myself to the year 2020 and say, if someone were to ask me, what do you think would happen in the year 2020 when it comes to space exploration or things regarding space? I would have said, with like full confidence, I would have said, we probably have colonies on the moon, on Mars, huge spaceships, and half of humanity is on Earth while the other half is in space. But here we are in 2023 and we don't even have flying cars. I'm disappointed. I really am. But you know what? It is what it is. So we'll see what the future holds. By 2030-ish, we're supposed to be on Mars. We're going to be getting flying cars by 2025, so they say. But how long have they been saying that? For a very, very long time, it seems like. But it is definitely in our future. It should be in our lifetime to see the colonization of Mars, more so on the moon, so on and so forth. This next article that I have for you, I just found the image like so weird. I said I have to share it because it's so weird. So let's pull this up and then I will provide information about that. But if you were to look at this, okay, you would just assume that this black bear is miniature inside of a super small bird's nest, right? You would think so, but that's not the case at all. This is a full-blown black bear inside a huge, huge bald eagle nest, okay? Let's share this. Because a black bear has been caught napping in an unlikely spot, the nest of a bald eagle. Researchers came across the sleeping bear while surveying eagle nests on a military base in Alaska. Now, black bears are known to occasionally take advantage of eagles' nest work, and these invasions spell trouble for the birds and their young, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. In the past, a few eagle nests have been raided by black bears, and it's just not good for the eagles because then they cannot have little baby chicks, right? And that whole issue happens. But bald eagles are Alaska's largest resident birds of prey and have a wingspan of 7.5 feet or about 2.3 meters. And these raptors build the largest nests of any North American bird, with some nests measuring 8 feet or 2.4 meters across and weighing more than 2 tons or 1.8 metric tons. Can you, do you know how big that is? Like, I know I provided some numbers for you. Okay, great. But like actually putting yourself in that mindset, an 8-foot nest, dude, that's crazy. Well, these huge nests may also provide safe resting places for black bears that usually make beds out of them. And the reason to why they attract black bears is because of the fishy smell that wafts down from the nest. Maybe the ones that are just like luring in these bears, because eagle nests can be rather smelly because the fish adults catch for their young sometimes go uneaten. And often that food isn't entirely consumed and ends up getting stomped into the nest or laying on the side and rotting. So bears have incredible senses of smell. So perhaps a bear is attracted to these smelly nests. And why am I sharing this with you? Because this picture just looks like a miniature tiny little bear inside of a very small nest, because the average nest that you see in the wild, if you go hiking or if you look at just casual pictures online, they're pretty small. They can fit in in the palms of your hand. Okay? And that's how I imagined this when I saw this image. And then when I gave you the numbers, that's when it got strange. And that's why I had to share it. But this next one is very weird. Okay, let's pull this one up. Because some people have die-hard instincts. Okay, so let's pull this up. Because it's weird. Because a Chinese farmer who had recently relocated from its rural home to an urban apartment building, shocked his new neighbors when he started raising 7 calves on his balcony. 7 baby cows on his balcony, as we can see it right here. So imagine living on the upper floors of an urban residential complex and waking up one morning to the mooing of bovines and the smell of manure. That was the shocking experience of hundreds of people in the area, who were shocked to find that a new neighbor had started raising cattle on his small 5th floor apartment balcony. The man had recently relocated from a village where he brought back a handful of cows weighing between 10 and 20 kilograms, and with him to raise as pets. But annoyed by the constant mooing and the foul smell of these young little guys, many of the residents called authorities, and the animals were forcibly removed on the first day in their new home. It's just weird. But you know what? Some people just have die-hard instincts. He doesn't know anything else other than raising cattle. Also, in the same province in China, there have been other farmers that have relocated to these types of apartment complexes where they have raised chickens. They have had like vegetable gardens as well. And for these city goers, right, these city livers, they're like, what are you doing? That's what a grocery store is for, right? You don't have to raise them yourself. That's someone else's job. These guys don't know anything better. And I just think it's absolutely crazy that some guy was able to move 5 cows, 5 floors up, and then into his balcony to raise his pets. That's new for me. I didn't expect that story, but here it is for you to see. Yeah, pretty strange. I'm seeing a lot of meat jokes here. Yeah, and Oscar says PU. Oh my gosh, the smell would be horrible. But Tara, I am liking that joke. Removed. That was funny. And Jace too. You guys are on the ball with your puns. I like it. But it's weird. But Miss Firejack says maybe they were service cows. Now any animal can be a service animal. He probably could have said that and maybe it would have passed. But see, he didn't know. And therefore they were relocated. But this next one, oh, and April, thank you so much for putting the word hashtag impressive. That is the word of the day for a $65 Starbucks or Amazon gift card. We will do the drawing at the very end of the show. But I have another one for you. And we've covered things similar to this, but this one is just the icing on the cake here. Or maybe the mustard on the hot dog or mustard in the Skittles, okay? Because there are now mustard flavored Skittles. I don't know about you, but that's just one of the condiments I cannot stand. I just mustard, it's pretty. The shade of yellow, very nice. It's very pleasing looking on hot dogs, but the taste for me, it's a big no-no. I really do not like mustard. But mustard flavored Skittles? Really? I mean, Skittles are already delicious, especially the red ones or like that tropical bag. Amazing. Love. 5 stars. But would you eat this just right off the bat before I even continue reading this article to you? Would you try mustard flavored Skittles? Do you like mustard? Do you like this idea of sweet and savory together? Because I'm not sure how it would be to have sweet mustard and then to chew it. No. But hey, you know what? I'm not you. Do you like it? I would try almost any food, but not this one. Or pickles. Can't stand pickles either. Okay. Yeah, Moose says, who asked for these? That's a fantastic question. Crazy people. Gross. Okay. Pete says, hot dog Skittles next. We're going to get into that. Kind of ish. Maybe. James says, I love mustard, but no. Okay. So this is a partnership with Skittles and then the mustard brand Frenchies, as we can see here. No, it's just French's. I bet. As you can tell, I know nothing about mustard brands, even though that's like the only mustard brand you'll ever find at the grocery store. French's. Okay. It's a partnership, and this isn't something new. Why? When you create these obscure, fun flavors, right? It attracts a lot of media attention, which is great for them, right? Because they can sell more. Now, for these mustard Skittles, you can't find them in the stores. because it's mainly a promotion and it's only available at mobile locations in certain cities. That information was not provided in this article, so I cannot tell you that. But if you're probably in a big city, I can just assume here that it might be somewhere in your area. But we've covered weird flavors like ranch flavored ice cream, Pepsi flavored ketchup, dumpling flavored soda, clam and hot dog flavored candy canes, and even pasta scented candles. Okay. We've spoken about all these weird things right here on Strange News, and it's really all about that partnership. It's all about getting people to say, ew, that's so weird. I have to try it. Right. But out of all of these that I just kind of read down the list for you, most of these usually are not able to be bought in stores. They're just kind of like a quick 1 month, few week kind of thing in certain locations. As for the Pepsi flavored ketchup, it's only at certain ballparks. The ranch flavored ice cream, it was available at Walmart for a few months. Actually, the dumpling flavored soda was only in Japan for a limited time. The clam and hot dog flavored candy canes, you can actually buy those on Amazon. Also, macaroni and cheese flavored candy canes you can buy on Amazon as well. And then that pasta scented candles, $80. $80 for those candles. Dude, just make your own pasta, okay? And then just whiff it in. Yeah, don't spend that much for a candle. But in this case, we don't know how much these are. We don't know where they're selling them or having them at. But it's not for me. That's a big no-no. Here's another image. The marketing is cool. Her nails are yellow. Looks great right there, the little tip. And you have the yellow background, and it says mustard, which is an interesting font choice. Good marketing. I like it. I like the pictures. Just not the flavor. Mm-mm. No, thank you. I am going to put back the word hashtag impressive on the screen. Please put that in the live chat if and only if you are watching this live, in order to be a part of the drawing that we're going to do rather shortly. When we get to 90 entries, okay, I will hit the trigger and press draw. We have 414 people watching this live. Thank you, by the way. But please hit the like button if you are enjoying the articles that have been mentioned today. Out of the ones that we've covered, which one was your favorite? Please tell me. I want to hear it all. Please share your thoughts and your insights, because I do read all of the comments, because I find your thoughts and your comments very valuable. It opens my eyes to things I didn't consider. Okay? Okay, 80 entries. Come on, 81. Let's go. Let's do this. Someone's going to win. You know what? The amount of this makes me so happy. We do this drawing every single Friday, and the majority of people that win, and I send an email, they say, Cristina, I won. I'm so happy because I never win anything. And you know what? That melts my heart. It makes me so happy to hear that even when that's happened to you in the past, you were able to win something for Strange News. So that's just one of many reasons to why I enjoy doing this with you. But the biggest thing is just giving back. I love giving back to you guys. It's awesome. And if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, jump over to YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you do not miss Strange News, and for a chance to win for any of these drawings that we do every Friday at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST. All right. You know what? Let's do 3 more. Come on, 3 more entries, and then we'll hit the trigger. Stream says, what about pineapple flavored mustard? I like pineapple flavored things. Delicious. But mustard? I don't think so. I mean, would you like put it on a hot dog? I don't know. Kind of grody. Okay. Come on. 2 more entries. Let's do this. Okay, here we go. Let's see who's consciously unaware. Congratulations. You are the winner for this week's drawing. Please send me an email. My email is in the description box below with your YouTube URL. And if you would prefer a Starbucks or Amazon gift card, once I get that email from you, I will send it to you rather shortly. Okay, so thank you so much for everyone that participated in the drawing, and congratulations to Consciously Unaware as well. Very interesting name. I dig it. I dig it. Well, that is it for today's show. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at eyes_on the skies for all of my updates and news. Also on Instagram at Strange Paradigms, where I share pictures and reels as well. If you want to continue this conversation, bring it over to the Discord server. Share your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, and more with 2,000 other like minded members. I know one of my amazing moderators will share that link in the live chat for you. Well, that is it for today. I will see all of you soon. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.